How long have I been acting? I've actually been acting 17 years. That's when I first started. I started when I had a fringe. If you can imagine, go that far back, even I can't remember. But it's funny you say I've just come on the scene, because I kind of have been around. But it's just the last 3 years, the last 3 or 4 years, I feel I've started appearing in places, because I've worked really hard to get to this point where people sort of recognise me and they've seen me in films and go, oh, you was in this, you was in that, you was in that. You know, so it takes that long. I don't come from an acting background, so it's all my own work, if you like. You know, I used to have a full-time job, kids growing up. I did stand-up comedy to start with, to get used to performing in front of people, and then always wanted to be an actor. Didn't know how to do it. How do I do it? So I just went to a class every week for 3 years and got used to performing and carried on and never give up. That was my thing. It's like if I give up, I'm never going to be an actor. So I've got to work really hard, and that's kind of what I did. So it's taken me a while, but you know, the hair went, but the ambition was always there. You know, I think I prefer to have no ambition and loads of hair. No, I'm joking. I like it the way it is. It's worked out all right so far. Debut feature, well, you know, weirdly, it was called Headlock Security, and I was the lead role in that, and that would have been my first feature film and first lead role, but it never really materialised. The film had a screening and it was really good, it was really funny, it was a really nice character, it was a bit of a love story, it had comedy, it had animation, but it's one of those films that just didn't have backing, didn't have enough to push it out there. So that put me back for a while in my head. I thought, oh God, you know, maybe that's my chance, sort of blown. So that was my first one. And then EastEnders, I suppose I did EastEnders in 2005. It was my first TV role. And that all came about by me basically entering a competition run by the BBC called New Talent, Open Talent, something like that, looking for actors. And I just said, I'm an actor. I wasn't an actor, really. I just started out. But I said, I'm an actor and I'd like to get back into the industry. So I went along to this thing and I basically won 16,000 people, 10 people won contracts for the BBC and I was one of them. So I got a job on EastEnders, one episode, and it got cut. So again, I was in it briefly, side of my head. That's my head, that's my head. And again, these are the disappointing times. I've got to start with the disappointing times because that's when people give up. Because they get all these negative stuff happens to them. They're like, oh, what's the point? And I remember watching EastEnders on the day that I was supposedly on it, and I could see the scene was cut. And I was like, oh my God. I felt like my life was over again. It's like, what? You know, it's not destined to be. So for about a year, I'll probably give up on acting. And then found myself, once you're into acting or you got the bug, you know that's what you want to do in life, you're never going to give it up. So, yeah, it's a weird old start, but I think sometimes the tougher it is, the more you go, right, I'm not going to let this go, I'm going to carry on, you know. Yeah, you're right, the first feature film that you saw me was Fixed, was it? All right, that's interesting. Yeah, because that's a good film. I've only got a minor role in that. Actually, Nicholas Clark, the lead in that, and really nice guy, he's a mate of mine now. Amazing performance. That's a really good gangster flick, but with a difference. It's all set in one kind of room. And I play Al Coop, who's the head gangster. And yeah, some nice gritty scenes there. And I think it's probably the first time on screen I played a gangster, you know. A lot of people say, you could be a gangster, you look like a gangster. They don't do that voice, that's me adding that bit myself. No extra charge, so like, no, you're right, mate. So yeah, and when I saw it, I thought, yeah, it's good. I really enjoyed that. But I've always tried to be different in every role I do, because I don't want to sort of get typecast. I want to show they've got range. That's the actor term, you know. That's my actor voice coming on. I do voices as well, you know. Better than that, but you got, you know, it's all about money, isn't it? You know, got to go where the money is. What's the question? Oh. Yeah, so my role in ManFish, completely different role for me. I remember when I got the script and I read the script and I thought, I really want to do this film. I can do something with this. It's really funny. It's got a lot of heart. It's absurd. It's so British. You know, I'd love to be the lead in this. And it wasn't necessarily funny. And I loved it, even though I'd done a sort of gangster role. I like to do comedy as well. And I thought, this is a comedy, a lead role in a comedy. This would be brilliant. And I realised there wasn't much for me to do that was funny. I was the serious straight guy in it. But it was brilliant to play, because very underplayed, quite a sad, lonely character. And I don't think a lot of people, even people I know, said, oh, I've never seen you like that before, you know. So, again, it showed I can be different. And he's quite a lovable character. People always feel sorry for me. When they see me, they go, oh, I felt really sorry for you in that film. So for me, that's nice. It means you've done a good job. So yeah, I'm really, really proud. I mean, to date, that's the best thing I've ever done. To date, there's a lot more to come from me, all right? But that is the best thing I've ever done. It's a brilliant film, and not just me, everyone involved in it. They're top actors, we all get on really well. It sounds cliche, but we are sort of like a family now, you know? We sort of care about each other, we hope that everyone's doing well. And everyone is, actually. Everyone who's been in the film has gone on and carrying on doing good things, so yeah, I'm very proud of it. It'll always be, if people say, how do you just start? I'd almost say ManFish, because it put me out there on a sort of bigger scale. No, it was good fun to make. In fact, we had a laugh all the time. In between takes, having jokes, having laughs, because I like to improvise a lot when I'm filming. If I'm allowed, if the director says, oh, this is all right, this is a comedy, I don't mind you putting your own little spin on this line or a little bit. But with Marc, this character was so sort of well written that I couldn't put any of myself into it, because Terry is not like me. He's not, I'll say I'm an extrovert, but he's not an extrovert, he's very quiet, so I couldn't even ad-lib. So I had to play it straight as it was written, with all the lines, no mucking about in between. So that's why, as soon as the camera stopped, I could muck about, have a laugh and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, it was really good fun. And honestly, it's one of those things, you finish the shooting and you're gutted. You're like, oh God, I like this little setup, you know. I ain't going to see these people again. But we do, we all meet up, but that's how it felt. It's like, I don't want this to end, you know, it was that good. So she's really lovely. Very funny, very clever. She's brilliant with voice. I quite like doing voices and characters, but she's amazing. You know, she really is amazing. But really nice girl, loads of banter with her, and I'd work with her, you know, at the drop of a hat. As long as that hat had loads of money in, obviously.
You and your brother have got two very different ideas about what the family business is. Look, your brother's got some of this new work coming in, all right? And he's going to need a hand with it.
What sort of work?
Just some transportation stuff, that's all. I was thinking you could have a word.
Favourite scene of mine in ManFish? I think Marc loves the breakfast scene. And as he explained, the eyes pop out, and we was rolling up. That was the only time that I corpsed in the whole film. And I just couldn't help it, because it was kind of a serious scene, but you've got this fish creature eating cereal with a massive spoon, and he's making all these noises. And that's what got me. I was trying to be serious, and I could just hear these noises. So, of course, I sort of laughed. Then once you've got that giggle in you, you set up to go again, and it happens again. So that kept happening. So I suppose memorable scene, that one, because it's funny. It's funny to watch and it's funny to be in.
Right. Now that we're all together, I want to come up with some ground rules. Rule number 1. If you try anything funny or you try and escape from this house, I will knock you the fuck out. Oi! Slimy Simon, do you understand me? Take that as a yes. Rule number 2. If you touch my fags, I will knock you the fuck out.
I don't think it's going to take up smoking while I see it, do you, Trace?
I don't know. Looks like a fast learner to me. One minute he's eating there at your table, and the next minute he's unplugging your DVD player and fucking off down cash collectors.
But another scene, I think, for me, maybe slightly more serious scene, but I'm talking about my mum and I'm fixing ManFish. He's had a little bit of an accident. And in real life, my mum sort of died not that much before the film, maybe a year before, and I'd not going through a good time. So I kind of thought about her when I was doing that. So even though it was a funny moment and a serious moment, I kind of had her in the back of my mind. But I like that because in my head I feel like she's in the film as well.
No, we'll eat later. Not now. That's me when I was a kid. Yes, my mum. She used to work down the arcades. She didn't even like it there. But I know that she loved taking me and Nigel down there. We was obsessed with the electric eel shock machine. We used to dare each other to see who could go the highest, who could take the most volts. I remember one time, Nigel actually wetted himself. He's laughing so hard. And then...
The sad thing is, my mum and dad didn't get to see it, but, if there's a sky up there's definitely a sky up there, because it's sky, isn't it? Virgin, there's probably virgins up there, and I'll think about it. I don't know where this is going, but anyway, they might get to see it somehow. Maybe they've got voodoo up there, whatever it's called, I don't know. Yeah, so I'm working with Marc Coleman again, in his new film called Members Club. I'm sworn to secrecy. No, I'm not really. No, I'm allowed to say I'm in it. I'm the lead in it again. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. It's too tough, Marc, You had your chance, you blew it, I know he's done an interview as well. Did he mention me? Who knows? Maybe he didn't. But I'm definitely in it, and there's some... if he hasn't named anyone, I won't name anyone, but there's some big people in it, and we've got a few of the regulars who were in ManFish. So the ManFish family's back again with some TV and film stars as well. So it's actually going to be bigger and better. I'll tell you a little bit about it. It's I play over 50s. I don't know how they cast me in this, because I've had to play like 20 years 20 years older for this part to play a 50-plus character. And I'm the front man of this strippers group. And it's, we're overweight, we're over the age of stripping, really. But we've got one last gig in us, we think. So we get this great gig at Working Man's Club. Turns out that it's not all it seems, and there's a sort of a mysterious witch they're trying to bring back from the dead, and we somehow get involved in all that. So it's a right strange mix horror comedy, like ManFish horror comedy, but a bit more emphasis on the horror in this one. It's still funny, but the gore will be more gory, So, can you ever see me in the lead role in a gangster film? Well, I hope you can, yeah. I mean, because, I love to do any type of acting. Gangster film, I grew up watching them, like the Business, the Craze, The Firm, Gary Oldman. I remember seeing that on, I think, BBC, Gary Oldman, when I was a young kid. I looked up to these people like Ray Winston, because they're working class actors, and I was like, oh, maybe I can be an actor, because they're not posh, so maybe I can still do it. So I did look up to these people. So, I would love to be in a gangster film, lead role, any type of role, because I know I can do that. I'm open to everything, I've played some weird and wonderful characters, and I've literally gone from rapists to paedophiles to funny characters to policemen to criminals to clowns. I think to me acting is exactly that, acting. I could just play this character all the time, non-stop shut up idiot type person, but I like to be different. So I like to do anything really. So when going back 15, 16 years, I went to a theatre school. It sounds, did you know? You surprised me. I'm surprised I let you in. No one speaks like that. I don't know why I did that. It was called the Artists Theatre School, which sounds even more posh. And it's run by Amanda Redman, MBE. So she's one of our greatest sort of British actresses out there. Been working ever since she left drama school for years. She's been at the top of her game, and she runs it basically. And I went along there just from a suggestion from a bloke I met at a barbecue. It's sort of random how these things happen. I got chatting to a bloke about Barry Reed, give him a mention. I got chatting to a bloke about me wanting to be an actor. And he said, I know someone, Amanda Redman. They're looking for men for this theatre production they're doing. So I went along the next week, and I carried on for the next 3 years, every Saturday going there. And invaluable, getting taught by someone you're not getting taught by teachers who didn't make it as actors. You're getting taught by actors who are actors and they're out there working. And you got to meet some big people. Ray Winston I met, you know, all of her sort of top friends come down, give us one-to-one lessons. And it was amazing. You know, you're just learning from the best. And everything they say, you respect and you think, well, I've got to do what they say because they know what they're doing. And I learnt so much there. And mainly confidence, performing, standing in front of people talking. You know, 20 years ago, hard to imagine, I probably wouldn't have sat here like this going, what's that for? I might not have done that voice, but I definitely would have pointed. I know what I'm like. So yeah, first time I went on stage was, again, I must have been, I won't give away my age. No, I was about 35, I think, 33. And before I'd done any acting, I did stand-up comedy because I wanted to get into acting. I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know how to get into acting from a working class background. I'd been to some drama classes before and they were full of sort of, it sounds awful, but like, it seemed like all old women and vicars.
We're doing a show for the church Paris. You can play Father Peacock.
And I'm thinking, oh God, this ain't for me, this. So I sort of stopped it for a while because I didn't know how to get into it. And then I actually forgot the question. So yeah, my first experience of being on stage was when I did stand-up. And we're going back 20 years ago. And I'd never done any acting before that. And I just knew, people said, oh, you're really funny. And they used this voice as well. I remember the person who said it. She went, you're really funny. You should. She had really big hands, weirdly. She's really funny. You should go on stage. And she had a little bit of a lisp as well. So it's all there. And you should go on stage and do something. So I thought, you know what? Maybe I will. So I wrote something, a little 5-minute thing. I didn't have a pen and paper, so I used my hand like I'm doing now. And I just done that. And I learnt all that. And I went on stage, and there's about 20 people in a pub. And I just rambled through these 5 minutes of material. Probably took me 2.5 minutes. Because I was so, you know, like just getting it out. And I come off, I got a few laughs, and I thought, that was all right, actually. Even though I was nervous, and it was all right. I thought I didn't die, I literally didn't die. So I carried on doing that for 2 years. Not exactly the same act, but kind of adding bits, slowing bits down, perfecting it. And for 2 years, basically, that gave me confidence. You know, I'm not a famous comedian now. No, because I stopped after 2 years, because I knew I wanted to be an actor. But that gave me confidence. And it got me used to being in front of people. And if you know, not being funny, if you die on your arse in front of 200 people and you walk off thinking, what's the worst that can happen to me? That was it. You know, you just build up a sort of wall. So I think if I can do that, I can definitely act. I can definitely do it in front of people now. So that stand-up comedy gave me confidence, you know. They didn't give the audience confidence because they'd walk out halfway through. But I mean, I enjoyed myself. Was there a moment in my life, light bulb, when I wanted to be an actor? I think probably from the age of 7 or 8. I always used to try and be funny even then. I remember being around little kids at parties and trying to make them laugh. I say little kids, they were like my age. I was a little kid, you know. So I was trying to make my little friends laugh all the time with silly voices, watching cartoons. So I always knew, I didn't know what an actor was then, but I always liked to entertain. So I knew I wanted to entertain. That's as much as I knew. Even when I went to secondary school, I remember saying to the teacher, the maths teacher, Mr. Patel, I said, when I'm 15, I might have been 15, I said to him, when I'm 21, I'm going to be a famous, funny comedian. Mr. Patel, if you're out there, I'm sorry I let you down. I didn't know it was going to take this long. I hate that question, because I don't know. I feel like my dream, I mean, really, Marc's, he's put me in dream roles. They're lead roles in good films. That's all I ever wanted. That's all I ever wanted, was to be a lead in something that can show that I'm good at something. Whether it's comedy, whether it's drama, I wasn't really fussed. I suppose my real personality is funny, so maybe, yeah, a really funny character in a lead role in a comedy horror, which is what Marc's just done. So, yeah, well, I've kind of in my head, I've got ideas for films, you know, like something like that. So I start comic, but he's also a werewolf. But I need to talk to him. I think I sent you an idea. He didn't reply, so I don't think he was keen on it. But I thought it was quite funny, this dual life. You know, not most comedians are depressed when they're off screen, but I thought he could be a werewolf. So after the gig, you can only do a gig not on a full moon. He's always busy or something. You know, he don't make jokes when he's a werewolf. He's a killer. You know what I mean? But he could do jokes referring to things like that. I don't know. It's up here. I ain't written anything down yet. But yeah, that might be a good role. I am doing something called the Brookso Burvis. It's called Underworld with Brookso Burvis, where I play not a spoof. I play a fake psychic, and it's set on a caravan park. And you see me with my wig on and glasses, and I talk to people, and I read their fortunes, and I tell them what they want to hear, and make them feel better about their lives, you know, stuff like that. But on the flip side, you see him when he's at home in his caravan, he's quite lonely. Because his wife, he cheated on his wife years ago. She's never forgiven him, so she's sleeping with his best friend, sometimes in front of him. When he's reading the paper, I was like, "You going anywhere nice today?" Like, "Yeah, all right, love, you know, get back to me." So you see both sides of his life. And on the outside, he's doing really well. He's not actually. He's performing to about 12 people in his caravan park. But it's very funny. And we've got Paul Danan involved in that, and he's just signed up for that. And I can announce that because that's sort of going to be public knowledge, so that's good. And Bruce Jones, who played Les Battersby in Coronation Street, is in the first episode. So we're filming that at the moment, so that could be good. That's hopefully going to go to TV. That's the aim. 6 episodes, so that's a good character. I'm producing that, yeah, with Don Morgan, who's the award-winning director. I did a film with him called Morris Men. Again, a small part, little gangster part, and then he got to know me as a person. I thought, oh, quite funny. I can be quite funny sometimes, you know, turn it off. I can be quite funny sometimes. So he saw that and thought, oh, you'll be great for this character. And we kind of created him together. And yeah, got a few people involved. And that's my next sort of project. Well, I'm doing it now in between, but the big project is Marc's next film, which is going to be amazing. Yeah, I've done a few TV jobs actually recently. Not many I can talk about because they're all NDAs, but one I can talk about is a new BBC show called Boiling Point, and it was the film with Stephen Graham in. I don't think it won a BAFTA. I think it might have done actually, but it won some awards, the top British awards, and it's now got a spin-off series. I've got a part in one episode of that, which I've already shot, and so that's coming out on BBC. So that's I imagine the end of the year. I've got a couple of Netflix shows I've did. Again, can't mention the names. There's an ITV show called You and Me I've got a little part in, which is out now. And another one on Sky One coming out very soon. I can't talk about that either. What's the point of talking about things you can't talk about? You know, it is what it is sort of thing. Film-wise, I've got a film called Charlotte, and that should be out, I reckon, the end of the year. And that's written by a girl called Georgia Conlon. So she's the lead, female lead, I'm the male lead, and very dark psychological drama. So again, completely different character for me. Not a nice person. Yeah, so the film Charlotte, without giving the story away, I play a kind of reformed criminal, and I take in a young girl who's run away from home, and which sounds, wow, why would a young girl go and live with this bloke? She doesn't really know my past. I've got a past that I'm trying to get away from. I'm changing, I'm a different person. She's run away from home because she's got an abusive relationship with her mum and dad. So there's loads of twists and turns. That's probably all I can say about killing the story, but it's very dark and no comedy in this whatsoever, you know. It's just very dark, horrible character, but brilliant to play, of course.